anytime I've ever been at Celtic Park in the East End of Glasgow on a European night, the nights are special. And tonight is no exception. But the big question is, Simon, will every seat be filled? I would doubt it. Some sections of the Celtic home support have been engaging in boycott protests around the running of the club. But bear in mind, Celtic fans, if you're not going to turn up, then you're not going to turn up. But maybe this should make you consider that you should. It's Martin O'Neill's 1,000th game in management. So it's a historic moment for the man we love here at talkSPORT, Martin O'Neill. And again, going into this, he's called for unity behind the scenes.
I'm agreeing with you. I think that a full house here at Celtic Park is something special. It's every European night that I've had in the past, way back then, was just filled with special moments. You know, teams where I think generally, and I'm talking about the really major sides, we're still very, very concerned about coming here. You know, the passion, the drive, and the noise it's made. I remember here our game against Liverpool in that UEFA run. John Robertson, my old friend, was standing beside me and speaking to me. I couldn't hear a word he was saying for the first 10 or 15 minutes. It was so loud. So, yeah, little bits have been lost from that, and that's regrettable, to use your word, I think. And I'm hoping that, I think there has been some discussions, which I'm obviously wasn't party to, but I hear that I think that there's been some progress made. But as I've been saying this here, the sooner that there is unity at Celtic Park, the better for all concerned. We had, I have no doubt at all that the crowd behind the goal on Sunday contributed greatly to us fighting back in the game. No question about that.
And by that, Mark was referring to the Celtic away support on Sunday down at Kilmarnock. 2 down, they won it 3-2. And the Celtic fans behind that goal were virtually sucking the ball into the back of the net. So what we know, Simon, is that the club has engaged with some of these fan protest groups, and there have been talks. Should you seek to reason with those, though, who want you out? And we know what they wanted. They wanted Michael Nicholson removed as chief exec. They want the Green Brigade reinstated, and they want restrictions lifted on all fan media organisations.
Yeah, I mean, look, there should be a balance. There's no benefit in becoming tranched in positions for the longer term. You can't be bullied and be subjected to mob rule. You can't be dictated to. But at the same time, you are accountable to some extent to the value of your football club, and that in its part is the supporters, a big part. So there needs to be a dynamic where you can find sensible grown-up conversations to resolve legitimate concerns. I'm not going to sit with somebody and justify why I won't find my chief executive to them. I'll have a conversation with them. I'll open the dialogue because I'm quite happy to have confrontations or conversations and subsequently confrontation if it is required to air out the issues and then move on in a positive framework and have an honest exchange of views. I won't have a group of supporters standing in front of me wagging their finger at me telling me who I'm going to fire and who I'm not going to fire, but I will have an exchange of views and explain the club's position and explain why we don't want the Green Brigade in, and these are the reasons why, and if they change their behaviour then we'll have them back in before, but we've danced this dance before, so this is not a debate, we're not having a discussion with you about the idea that you think this should happen, but we will enter into conversations with you, and that's what they're doing, and I think that's probably pragmatic and sensible.
So it's important to manage the dynamics of fan groups.
Well, I think it's probably sensible, especially with such a passionate and powerful fan base as you have in these sort of clubs. You've got to find a way to keep them reasonably on side as much as you possibly can. You don't have to sit there and be dictated to, but you do have to find a communication mechanism. I think some of the things that Celtic have done are silly. I think that they're going in that board meeting and wagging their finger at certain sections of the people of the behaviour of certain people in the shareholders meeting probably wasn't the most wisest. I think it's right.
Desmond's son.
You can't be bullied.
That way.
And I agree with Dermot for coming out and filling in Brendan Rodgers and not allowing Brendan Rodgers to control the narrative and have his little say, so that all that's left is the marks that he leaves behind rather than the challenges that he actually was part and parcel of creating.
Yeah.
So I think there's right to do that. But to answer your general question, should you communicate with your fans? Yeah, because when it comes down to it, most of them, when they get in front of you, are a very different animal than the ones issuing ultimatums and shouting through loudhailers.
Even fan activists.
Depends. The balance is if you're dealing with someone that is beyond the worth talking to because they're just creating mayhem for mayhem's sake, then no, they shouldn't be given an audience. But if people want to have a sensible dialogue, a pragmatic dialogue, if someone's going to come into your office and start insulting you at full volume, then no. If you're going to have a pragmatic, sensible conversation about what surely is what everybody wants, which is the best interest of the football club, then have it, and then you'll see actually you can actually change the minds of people. Give a bit of a courtesy into behind the curtain of what's going on. These are the reasons why. These are the reasons these things are done. Now, you don't expect people to concur with you, but it might take some of the temperature out of the room.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes for. And Martin, if you're listening, good luck tonight. Your 1,000th game in management.